Here is the truth. As you expand, if you desire to be more conscious, to be more psychic, to be more connected into your quantum leaps and for your soul to have a gigantic growth here in this life, you are going to have many more crumbles and many more purges. You're going to have the energy of what feels like a breakdown. It feels like you're lighting everything on fire. You're burning it all down. The dark night of the soul. Since human beings have been here, we have been going through crumbles and rebirths and purges and dark nights of the soul. But there seems to be an influx of what people have been calling the dark night of the soul. There seems to be something that people are interested about and are wanting to dive deeper into. So today we're going to discover what is the dark night of the soul and how can you work through it and what is the point of the dark night of the soul. My name is Victoria Bond. I'm a psychic medium and a spiritual empowerment coach. And it wasn't that long ago that I went through the most intense dark night of the soul. I thought my world was crumbling down. I thought I was literally burning down everything. And I felt really guilty and a lot of shame because I wasn't feeling gratitude. So today I want to share with you a bit about my experience, but also how can this help you? How can the dark night of the soul help you uncover your genius? And how can you help others that are close to you that may be going through their dark night of the soul? So first of all, let's talk about some of the different names that we could be using that may be referring to a dark night of the soul. So purging, rebirth, also crumbling down or burning it all down or just literally just having a massive what is the word? A midlife crisis. That can often be the dark night of the soul. But there's different stages of this and different processes. It's usually the dark night of the soul is referred to as the more condensed version, which is also can be taken as a breakdown. Now, for me, it was very much, I felt like I was having a mental breakdown. But when I look back, I noticed that it was really an extreme breakthrough. And that was really that condensed energy of what I was going through. But the truth is, we do go through different stages and different waves. So the purging and the rebirth and the kind of opening up of everything and feeling overwhelmed can all be a part of different stages. So, how long does this last for? Some people say it's a 7-year cycle. Some people say it was just like a really bad year. And some people can be like, well, actually, the dark night of the soul was a week. But we have to understand that there is different stages. So there is like a build up and then like a come down. And the reason why this is so important to understand the different stages is we have our human being, our spirit, and our soul. So this beautiful trinity is together embodied, but yet separate. So as your soul is going through a massive upgrade, a quantum leap, you might say, your spirit has to catch up to what is happening, and so does your human. So I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper and how you can help that. But just understanding the concept that your human may not be where your soul has already leapt to or your soul is ready for is a really good concept that you might want to take note on. So, how can the process of going through your dark night of the soul help your psychic abilities and your insights? Here's the thing. When your soul decides that it is ready to open up to more awareness and more growth and learning for the human, we have to understand that the human requires time to catch. So, what actually happens is your psychic abilities and your deep insights and your clears and even your Akashic records and memories come back from past lives. And that can be very overwhelming for the human that has this conditioned mind. So, what happens is we've expanded our awareness and it can feel extremely uncomfortable. It can come in the form of knowing things and seeing things, predicting things, and inviting people in that are completely different to what you're used to, and also letting go of people. So this can be extremely uncomfortable, and it can feel like your whole world is crumbling down and you're losing absolutely everything. But the thing is, you're human, your ego and your mind is actually like, stop, stop, danger, danger, this isn't safe. When the truth is, if you come into your body, then you are able to expand your human, your somatic releasing and system. You're able to expand all of what that is to meet where your spirit and your soul currently is. So, in other words, the human has a lag time and needs to catch up to what your spirit is expanding to in its awareness, but also what your soul is inviting you to receive. So, we're basically playing catch up. So, the psychic abilities come in and all of these incredible superpowers, and it seems too much. And the human body can literally start like shaking. Some of the symptoms can be not sleeping or feeling a lot of mind chatter. So the brain is trying to figure out, the subconscious is trying to figure out what needs to stay and what needs to go, right? Because you've just had a huge up level, which means a lot of stuff needs to be released. This is where somatic exercises and meditation can come in to really help you. And of course, having a coach, joining a group, making new friends, a new vibe tribe, and even counseling can come up. A lot of people have fear and anger and sadness that comes up, and this can be a somatic release as well. This is not a wrongness. This isn't for us to be feeling shame and guilt like I felt during my dark night of the soul. But it is really an expression of self to unlock where we have been repressing and getting ready for our next level. So, of course, naturally, our psychic mediumship gifts and our superpowers are going to be popping everywhere because our awareness is heightened, but we haven't regulated to that state of expansion. When I was going through my dark night of the soul, I remember standing there and saying to my husband, I can't do this anymore. I feel like jumping. And I remember hearing, I can feel that now, those words that came out of my mouth. I feel like jumping. And the amount of guilt that came over me and shame, the shame that I couldn't hold everything. I couldn't hold being super mom and I couldn't hold my business and my relationships and, all of the things that were going on, this pressure to be a super human and then to acknowledge all of the signs and synchronicities and spirit wanting to talk to me. It was like so much that I also started expanding my awareness so incredibly fast. I quantum leapt so quickly that I started feeling a lot of anger. I felt like I'd been lied to my whole life because I all of a sudden saw how particular things that were standing out in my childhood that weren't in alignment with my belief system now. So I started questioning everything. And when I came up to my husband, who is always an energetic alignment for me, he was like, what are you doing? What is going on? And I said, I just can't hold this. And I had people telling me, look, there's people that are much worse off than you. You've got two beautiful, healthy children. You've got a roof over your head. You've got enough money to pay your bills. And we were just scraping by, but we were okay. We were always just okay. But mentally and physically, I was burnt out. I was fatigued. I wasn't sleeping. And then I had spirit coming in and I had all sorts of spirits. So I had high expression and low expression. I was getting attacked in my sleep. I didn't know what to do. My boundaries were loose and my standards, I didn't even know what a standard was because I was just surviving. So why I share this with you is if you or anybody else that you know, or maybe you've been there, and I'd love to hear in the comments right now, like, is this where you're at now? Do you know somebody who's going through this? So you can actually share this video or the information I'm sharing with you. Or, is this somewhere that you've been? I'd love to know where you're at and what your experience has been with this dark night of the soul and taking into consideration the different levels of this, the process of this. So, is it a purge? Is it a rebirth? Is it a crumble? Is it a breakdown? And also, how can we reframe that? Because here is the truth: as you expand, if you desire to be more conscious, to be more psychic, to be more connected into your quantum leaps, and for your soul to have a gigantic growth here in this life, you are going to have many more crumbles and many more purges. You're going to have the energy of what feels like a breakdown. It feels like you're lighting everything on fire, you're burning it all down, and it's going to happen. But here is the other thing: you can have so much more ease with it. Okay. So it was the very first dark night of the soul that I felt like I was dying, but I was being absolutely reborn. And now, when this energy comes up, I can recognize that I'm going through an upgrade, and I can bring in the practices of meditation, of presence. I can bring in my support team. So, my husband definitely understands these things. So, he is a support team. I have got coaches, and I've got a tribe of people, my vibe tribe, that understand that really this is about upgrading, and we get to own these parts of us, understanding that we are shadow and we are light. And if we can work through these with beautiful somatic practices, if we can understand joy and rage and sadness, and we can let that out of our body in a mature, beautiful way, then we can move through these waves just ever so gently rather than massive, big tidal waves. Now, if you feel like, okay, well, I'm really in the dark night of my soul and I can't see a way out, this is where sometimes we do need to get professional help. So, psychologists do have incredible tools for this, and so do counselors, so do coaches. It just depends on where you're at. And learning that you are a spiritual being, your spirit is here within your human, but you're also human that plays with your spirit. And then you have the soul, which is here for absolute growth. So you've taken so much growth from your past lives, and so much more in this life, and so much more to come. And no one said consciousness was easy, right? So making sure you've got a team around you, and being aware that you're not looping into a victim consciousness over and over again. If you have been saying the same old story, the same old patterns, and it's been years, then this is something that you need to look at. You need to come into this and go, who can help me break these cycles and these patterns that I play out in? And this may be to do with relationships. This may be due to with your career. Maybe you require a career change. Maybe this is to do with your body. But what I want to share with you lastly is that everything comes from within. And this is not for you to blame yourself if you go through a dark night of the soul, or you're going through a purge, or you're having a meltdown. This is to understand that you already have created what it is you want to create here, right? When we look at quantum physics, it's already done. And now you're catching up to what you have already created. So having faith in what has not been seen yet, that has not happened yet, faith and trust in your process. Trust that when you are really feeling unaligned, that you can come into a practice. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's walking and earthing on the ground, on the beach or in the forest. Maybe it's journaling, coming into spaces, communities of like minded people to bring you in to a regulated state so you can continue to expand without having to experience so much resistance, so much intensity. We can definitely make this a lot easier. So, what questions or thoughts do you have about everything we have shared today? Pop it down below so I can check those comments and we can have conversations about what the dark night of the soul looks like for you. Now, the way that I work is I don't go reading the books or listening to particular gurus on these topics. This is just coming from the expression of my higher self as a channel. So, as a projector in human design, what I do is I feel the feelings from the collective, I channel through down and open my heart. And I believe that we are defining too much and making things too solid. So, this is simply my perspective and my experience of the dark night of the soul. But I would love to hear yours. So, comment below. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I highly recommend you do this, like this, and if you found this beneficial, please feel free to share this video.